Hello, and we are back, and we're going to do some more 2-point perspective. Now, if you remember the 1-point perspective, which is what we have here, we were drawing some shapes. So we're going to kind of do the same thing, but with 2-point perspective. And let's remember some of the shapes. We've got the circle. We kind of usually do the square. We've got a semicircle and our hexagon. So we're going to move to this guy. And in 2-point perspective. So the first thing we're going to do, though, I think I'm going to make it a little easy. And we're going to start with a box and work our shape into the box. I need my ruler. Hang on a minute. Always good to have all your tools ready when you start a lesson. My ruler. Of course, you can use any kind of straight edge you've got. And let's do something a little over here. So it's kind of good to experiment. And I'm going to start with a corner line, like last time. Let's do it here. And then you can start with any vanishing point you want, 1 or 2. All right. So the next line is, let's say we make it about there. So if you're worried about how to get the next line straight, just try and line your ruler up against. You can just go like that and then sort of shift it over. And then maybe I'll make this side a little, not quite as, there. Okay, so we started out with a box. So now what's the shape that we're going to use? So I'm thinking we can do maybe a semicircle. Now that kind of negates that corner. That corner is going to get erased. And then we kind of want to know where our end point is, sort of. I think what I'm going to do is, so now I'm going to use vanishing point 1. I'm not going to, draw the line all the way to the end, because I know this is at the very least the end of the box, or semicircle. In this case, it's going to be like half a tube. All right. So I'm just going to darken this up a little bit, thicken it. Okay, so what would happen here, right? The edges would be curved. And then the rest of these, you would want to disappear. Now I'm drawing a little darker than I normally would, just to ensure that you can see what I'm doing. I would draw all my construction lines, or my convergence lines in this case, very lightly. There, and we've got, just darken that up a little bit for you. It turns out to be kind of half a tube, doesn't it? Okay, so let's do another one. Again, we're going to start with a box, and maybe we'll do it over here. So I'll use my ruler. Right. So vanishing points. I'm not going to draw all the way to the end. I'm not going to draw all the way. I'll draw to about here. And I think I'm going to do this one with a hexagon in mind. Do the next line sort of straight. All right. Yeah, lots of lines here, and some of them are very close, you know, from this one. All right, so now finishing point number 1 over here. And we basically got a square, don't we? Sort of. Now, hexagon is 6 sides. So I can decide, you can use your ruler if you want to decide it, you can eyeball it. So this is about 2 inches. So that kind of makes it easy. So maybe I can say on this side, 1/4 inch in. Sorry, yeah, half an inch in. Half an inch in. I can just go straight up. Make a little point there. Make a little point there. Now, how long is this guy here? You will get to a point, the more you draw, that it gets much easier for you to gauge or guess. And then when you go to measure, you can be spot on, which I can be quite often. So I've got it a little taller. It is not quite 2.5. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Seems about, and then 1, 2, 3. Is it a bit? Okay, so math isn't my strong suit, so I apologize. Let's go a little more. Okay, about here. All right, so that gives me some points. Now, if I want to know where that is over here, I can use my vanishing point to help me get my line, because it's not going to be the same measurement. It's smaller, it's further away, right? Okay. So there's our hexagon, and again, we're going to use our vanishing points. Now, don't expect your first ones to be perfect right off the bat. You're growing here, and growing means there's growing pains. So expect it to be imperfect. All right, so there's your hexagon. You can erase your corners here. It's also a bit tube-like, isn't it? Messy. Yeah, I'm feeling like this one's a bit off. It doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. Well, do a bunch of them until they do. Now, the next one we're going to do is, we're going to do an oval. We're going to do an actual tube. And maybe we can do it up here. So, we're going to start with the square again. And maybe I'll start with my sort of corner line. It's usually kind of one of the front corners. And there we go. Again, I'm not drawing all the way to the vanishing point. It gets too messy. All right, so, and then let's say, yeah, we're gonna do some overlapping here, I think. It's fine. All right, so then we want to get that bottom, which we kind of almost do, just because of the previous line here, but it's not quite on. There you go. Okay, so we have another nice box up in the sky. So we're going to do the oval. I think we'll do a couple. So we can do one this way, and we can do one this way. Let's do this one. So this gives you a good idea of how you're going to start to see round things. And I want you to try and wing it. So you're kind of, you know, you're finding the center of each thing and then trying to oval out the corners, right? And you're going to start to see how round things look on a sort of a skewed perspective. So then your corner of this small tube sort of disappears, doesn't it? Now I'm not going all the way to the edge. I should be, maybe I should be. Just so that you can see. Now, because when we get to this point, so this is the middle of this sort of oval here, and the middle of this oval is here. So it's kind of shifted down within your box, isn't it? It's smaller than the box, it's within it. So, you know, this is the middle of what this one would be, right? And then we're going to mostly cut off this corner. And it's okay if you're a little sketchy. It's okay if it's not perfect. Just keep trying it. So we'll do one more. We'll do one right there in the middle. So I think I don't want everything completely lined up. I want to have some fun. All right. Again, I'm not drawing any more to the center. There, we're going to have some overlap. It's behind the other one a little bit. There we go. So basically it's behind, right? Okay, so this time we did the oval here. This time we can do it here. So you can find your center of the box. And you kind of do the same over here. And you're basically mimicking the feel here that you've got. And then you can vantage point. So I did that a little bit differently to show you how you're going to grow as you draw. Right? All right, where do I have space for one more? I'll do one more right there. So what I want you to do is a bunch of ovals and a bunch of hexagons. And if you're finding it too frustrating because you're barely figuring out the square, then just do a bunch of squares. All right, so where do I want my up and down here? Out here. And now we're getting to the bottom of our box. And this time, we're going to do the oval this way. And it's a little less surface to kind of play with. But again, we're looking at where the center of each one is, or appears to be, right? Center. We're rounding off the corners. And you're getting the feel for how these things skew, aren't you? So now we get to cut off that corner. Drastically. And then there you have a tube going upright. Now if you want to go in and add some shading and a light source and play. At the very least, you have kind of a very cool, interesting piece of art just out of 2-point perspective exercises, which you know, can be fun. So do a bunch of these yourself and share them. And if you have any questions, let us know.